present today. As Reverend said, today my lesson sermon on my topic is taken from Roy's book, Studies in Truth, Explorations in Metaphysical Thought. It's unfortunate that this book is no longer in being printed, but I hope one day they will find a way to reprint it. In the second chapter, we hear, or Roy talks about the eternal religion. And I hope that after today's lesson sermon, we will understand what religion is about, because we hear of the Christian religion, the Muslim religion, the Buddhist religion, and so on and so forth. He says, at the heart of every great religious teaching is the same mystical doctrine which points the way to self-realization. Self-realization. No one system or philosophy loaded with opinions and theories can be taken as the whole truth. But if we strike away the opinions, theories, and misguided notions, the direct route to God will be revealed, which means that we all want to go to God. He says that before then, you see, in this part of the country, we are very conversant with the teaching. Maybe before you joined CSA, you went to a place where they always constantly talk about Jesus, clap for Jesus, and all that. This is what Roy has to say about it. He says, Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. All men, if they are to be free, must one day be able to affirm this statement from the depths of their own self-realization, which means we mustn't stop at the Jesus. He says, all men, if they are to be free, must one day be able to affirm this statement from the depths of their own self-realization. As a true student, you already know intellectually that you are a divine being, a specialized expression of spirit. But knowing this intellectually, and on the other hand, knowing it clearly through awakened intuition, are two different things. We have the theory and we have the practice. He says, knowing this intellectually, and on the other hand, knowing it clearly through awakened intuition, are two different things. The direct route is the eternal religion, the way which was and is and will be the means by which every seeking soul shall find freedom. The way which was and is and will be the means by which every seeking soul shall find freedom. If we watch Yogananda, Roy, Yukteswar, and then Lahiri Mahashaya, all their teachings, it is like they are ever new. He says, in this series, I'm revealing to you the never-changing laws and basic universal truths which have been known since the dawn of time by masters and sages of pure, unclouded understanding. To discern and comprehend what is true amidst the maze of myths and symbols is the task of one who treads the spiritual path. I repeat, to discern and comprehend what is true amidst the maze of myths and symbols is the task of the one who treads the spiritual path. With practice and patience, using the eye of intuition, you will prove equal to the task, I am sure. The way is sure for one-pointed seekers. The average person who seeks the truth meets with little real success because he is not one-pointed in his quest. The average person who seeks the truth meets with little real success because he is not one-pointed in his quest. He does not know what true goal of life is, what he must do in order to realize it, or how to assume the consciousness of self-completeness. As as you continue with these lessons, you are not to accept anything I say merely because I say it. To the best of my ability, I'm recording here only that which enlightened teachers have agreed upon as being true, and what I myself have found to be true. Here you will find nothing new, merely a restatement of ancient yet ever new principles in the language of today. However, you do not have to accept what anyone else affirms, for you have the marvelous capacity to know the truth for yourself, which means we have to practice, and practice. The promise is now, as it has ever been. Whoever seeks truth with an open heart, never wavering on the path, will reach the goal without fail. Whoever seeks truth with an open heart and an open mind, never wavering on the path, will reach the goal without fail. One sage stated to his followers, even a little bit of the practice of this way of life will save you from the fear of death and from suffering as a result of ignorance. He goes on to write, there is only one reason why people as a whole live out their lives in fear and suffering. They are not aware of who they really are. They are asleep to the truth. And in chapter 1, the way is open to all people. He says, all right, every man and woman on planet Earth has the opportunity in this incarnation to realize the truth. Every man and woman, and you can add child, on this planet Earth has the opportunity in this incarnation to realize the truth. By saying to realize truth, I mean to fully understand the nature of God, the nature of the soul, and the soul's relationship with all of creation. In fact, we will not know true spiritual freedom until we come into this total realization of the truth. The way is open to anyone, regardless of race, sex, creed, nationality, or political interests. The universe is lawful, logical, and orderly. What works for one person will work for all. This is a basic point to remember. So if what works for one person will work for all. This is a basic point to remember. So if Reverend can go all the way and be realized, let us also make it our goal to go all the way and be self-realized. The solution to the problem of human suffering is for people to awaken and come into the full realization of who they are. There is no other way. Blind believing, superstitious performance of rituals, dependence upon outside gods or spirits or forces in nature only indicates lack of self-realization. I want to repeat it. It says blind believing, superstitious performance of rituals, dependence upon outside gods or spirits or forces in nature only indicate lack of self-realization. The way to self-realization is not a trial and error method. It is fast and direct, and evidence of progress can be readily noted. The way to self-realization is not a trial and error method. It is fast and direct, and evidence of progress can be readily noted. Here, I want to stress that if you really are interested and sincere and want to know or want to become self-realized, you should go to a good or authentic teaching tradition. Not every teaching tradition is authentic. And some teaching traditions, like he stated in the first ones, are loaded with opinions and theories, and they cannot take you far on the spiritual path. He says, but the choice is ours. Nobody can force you to do anything. You have to decide what you want and what you want from life. That is why he says the choice is ours. Do we choose to be deluded? Do we choose to be following what hearsay? Oh, if we do this, we'll make money. And with money, we can get everything. Or if we pass this way, it will be good for us. But the question is that, is it always true? We must be guided by what is true always in our lives. The way to self-realization is not a trial and error method. It is fast and direct, and evidence of progress can be readily noted. But the choice is ours. We can grope along, stumbling blindly, or we can turn our attention, our efforts to the solution of man's universal problem, ignorance of his soul nature. Every person will sooner or later realize the truth. The Bible says every knee shall bow. That's the meaning. The meaning is that of every knee shall bow is every person will sooner or later realize the truth. This is your glorious destiny, and you cannot miss it. All anyone can do is prolong the agony by refusing to practice self-discipline and by refusing to work at clearing the mind and consciousness of all impediments which block the flow of superconscious forces and distort the perception of reality. He says that we have to practice self-discipline and work at clearing the mind and superconsciousness of all impediments which block the flow of superconscious forces and distort the perception of reality. We do not become spiritual. We are already spiritual, but we work at clearing the mind and consciousness so that our light or our true nature can shine forth. Man has a double responsibility to fulfill in this world. His first responsibility is to seek self-realization with steady faith. The second responsibility is to work in some constructive manner in this world. Constructive work does many things. Here again, I want to say that if you do not know what constructive work is, go to the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, and in the first and second steps of yoga, they talk about the yamas and the niyamas. If you read it and you practice it and you are conversant with it, you will know, there will be no doubt in your mind what constructive or non-constructive work is. So I'll urge everybody to go to the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, the yamas and the niyamas. Constructive work does many things. It places us in line with universal will and makes us co-creators of that which is good and desirable and in keeping with the evolutionary move in the direction of fulfillment of purposes. By working in some constructive way in this world, we also tend to root out our selfish tendencies. We help to stabilize the social order, and we create conditions of relative ease so that we can turn our attention to our higher purposes. Again, by working in some constructive way in this world, we tend to root out our selfish tendencies, me alone, because constructive way, you will also have to think of others or do some work which will benefit yourself and the world. Remember, we do not live in this world forever. We do not live in this body forever. Last week we buried Odai. Mother's Mary went. One day it will be our turn to leave this field. Not that we die, but to leave this field. Have we left a mark behind us? Have we done some constructive work that others will benefit from? Occasionally, let us think of these things and not think of I, me alone. There is a purpose. By working in some constructive way in this world, we also tend to root out our selfish tendencies. We help to stabilize the social order, and we create conditions of relative ease so that we can turn our attention to our higher purposes. There is a purpose for the maintenance of the world, and we can be sure we are doing our duty when we work to assist in the smooth running of the affairs of life. for ourselves and for all mankind. Let us think about it. We are not here for ourselves alone or for our family. We are here for our larger family, and our larger family is the world. And our larger body or Father is our Heavenly Father, God. Concern for the welfare of others is a mark of spiritual awakening. We are not to embark on a program of converting others against their will. This is very, very important. Don't try to coerce people on this to come to this path. Allow them to be themselves when they look at your life, and your life is an example of a good life. They will follow you. They will ask you questions, and through that, you can share with them what you know, and you can come and get truth journals and then share. In fact, one person who is doing well in this area is Kingsley. Almost every month or once in a while, he comes to buy some of the reading material we have. And when you ask him, he says, "Oh, I want to give to others. I want to share with others." He's trying to get people to know that there is a different way of life apart from clapping for Jesus. When they arrive for awakening, we can provide them with literature and instruction which will point the way for them. When they arrive for awakening, we can provide them. That is what Kingsley is doing. And I urge, Mr. Jaka too is somebody who does that a lot. He's always buying an easy guide to meditation. It's $2, but we have made it 20 CDs. We keep it at 20 CDs so that everybody can get one and buy one for his or her friend. If every seeker had to find a way for himself, very few people would make it. It is very true. If every seeker had to find a way for himself, very few would make it. Generous-hearted master teachers have throughout the ages worked selflessly for the enlightenment of humanity. If I cannot think of anybody, I can think of Reverend Sasu, who came to Ghana in 1979. He always told us that his aim of learning the truth was, after Roy's place, he was going to California. He was going to live the ideal life. But Roy said, no, if you have learned the truth, don't keep it to yourself. Go and share it with your people. So he came to Ghana, and he is a generous-hearted master teacher. And he has worked selflessly for the enlightenment of humanity. He has taught so many things, Hatha Yoga, and even now he has an Ayurveda clinic. Many people have never heard the word Ayurveda before, but gradually and through Reverend, we have all learned the word Ayurveda and what it means. I know there was one teacher who even misspelled it. He was trying to follow Reverend. He couldn't misspell Ayurveda correctly. Well, Reverend too didn't try to correct him because he didn't want him to feel inferior. So with his purity, he practices Ayurveda with the wrong spelling. He says that generous-hearted master teachers have throughout the ages worked selflessly for the enlightenment of humanity. It is a spiritual law that can only progress spiritually to the degree that we are willing to assist others on the path. Because in truth, other souls are really ourselves. He says that it's a spiritual law that we can only progress spiritually to the degree that we are willing to assist others on the path. Because in truth, other souls are really ourselves. This brings a reminder, or it reminds me of the word minua. Again, Reverend has taught us that minua doesn't mean anything. I'm the one in everybody. So that's why Roy is saying that other souls are really ourselves. All souls are specialized expressions, extensions of supreme consciousness. In working to awaken others to the path, we are really awakening ourselves. Remember that. All souls are specialized expressions. You see, whether they know God or they don't know God, whether they are ignorant, they are not ignorant, whether they steal or they do not steal, that is not your concern. This says that in working to awaken others to the truth. We are really awakening others. Let us, with love, tell them that they are not on the correct path, but the correct path is the path to God. You see, those who steal don't know that God is the source of all, everything, material, spiritual, and everything. If they knew, they wouldn't steal. They would go to scripture. They will practice spiritual, do spiritual things till they know actually, not by theory, but by practice, that they are children of God. And like the prodigal son, they said, God said, all that I have is yours. Personally, we can do nothing, but to the degree that we relax and turn within for guidance, God can work through us. He says, to the degree that we relax and turn within for guidance, always remember to turn within for guidance. That is meditation. Always, we are taught that meditate minimum twice a day. Early in the morning when you wake up, let the first thing be commune with your Maker, meditation. Before you close your eyes at night, again, turn to your Maker, meditate. Your financial participation in an enlightenment course is really a portion of your life which you share with yourself as others. These days, most people complain about financial problems and all that. That is fine. But know that whatever little you can do, please do it. Because not Roy, but all the masters of perfection say that your financial participation in an enlightenment course is really a portion of your life, which you share with yourself as others. That is why, again, I don't want to maybe take the whatever out of the person's mouth, but Nana Yao has given CSA, presented CSA with a brand new laptop. Let us acknowledge and thank him for it. You see, his financial participation in enlightenment course is really a portion of his life which he's sharing with himself as us. You see, so it is difficult for many people to share because they tend to think in terms of giving and getting in return. Sometimes they think in terms of lack and limitation. Roy says, the very moment we share, we are standing in that place in consciousness where the infinite is distributing its substance. Therefore, rejoice in the ability to share at the moment you do so. Again, therefore, rejoice in the ability to share at the moment you do so, and do not ever think in terms of getting a reward as a result of your giving. Your reward is really your freedom to share at that moment. So I hope that put to rest this point about forcing yourself to give and I will not give and whatever. He's saying that you must participate in the game of life. That is, if you already want to be on the spiritual path. Like Reverend said, Auntie Peace was at a terror mission. The following day, she said, no, I must go and then console my sister. I must participate with her in her grief and in burying her mother. So she participated. Let us all take a cue from these things. Reverend was there. You see, let us look at how the masters behave. Let's look at how enlightenment people behave and follow them. We cannot always be doing the same old and thinking we will get results. We don't get any new results. It should have shown us that we have to change the way we think and behave. Correct participation does not include charity. Correct participation is doing what you can do to bring about the kingdom of heaven, the world of reality on earth, by doing your part to clear mass consciousness of false ideas. Exactly what we are talking about. Correct participation is doing what you can do to bring about the kingdom of heaven, the world of reality on earth, by doing your part to clear mass consciousness of false ideas. Especially in this part of the world, we have so many false ideas and we hang on to them as if we leave them, we will die. It is, you will not die. Leave them. Leave them behind you and march boldly into your new reality. He says that, of course, people must be fed, sheltered, educated, to actively help to spread the truth in the highest and best thing is the highest and best to actively help and spread the truth is the highest and best thing you can possibly do in this world. Of course, people must be fed, sheltered, educated, and healed. But unless we take the next step and work to awaken souls, we are merely working with bodies and mind, which will in time pass away. And then, when you after death, instead of like awakening before you die, so that you will not come back again or come back as an enlightened person, because you have not gone far, you come back again and begin the whole thing over, all over again. Well, I'm praying to God very hard that I'll be able to fully awaken in this incarnation or in the next, so that I can become a fully realized being and participate fully in God's reality. Any form of religious worship is beneficial for the average person, and it is an indication that the spiritual nature is seeking fulfillment. But being good and religious is not enough. That's what we are talking about. Being good and religious is not enough. It is only the beginning. It is only the beginning. Millions of good religious people pass from this world every few years, no more enlightened when they move into the astral realms than they were while on this planet. The question is, along with church going, filling personal responsibilities, and the study of scriptures and spiritual literature, have you also realized God? That is a major question. Have you also realized God? Out of the millions of people now incarnated, how many ever think of self-realization? And of all those who do think about it, how many are willing to actually do something, to take even the first step towards the goal? Unfortunately, even among those who profess to be on the spiritual path, a great many waste their time in non-essential pursuits, constantly changing from one system to another, one teacher to another, making a game of their study, and failing to awaken from this dream of mortality. He goes on to say, a daily plan for you to follow. In order to avoid much waste motion and to move steadily along the path, do this every morning. Sit quietly and meditate. Practice as suggested in the first lesson, or as you have been taught. You see, in this, our teaching tradition, a lot of emphasis is placed on meditation. And I can't remember the last time people came to ask the ministers, Reverend Auntie Peace, myself, or Sir John, maybe I'm having this problem with meditation. Can you please help me? It is very, very important. So I will ask all those, especially those new on the path, or those who are not too conversant with meditation. That is why Reverend has ordained more ministers, so that the burden will be lifted off him. So please, approach any minister. Nana Yao is present. While he is here, anybody can approach him. Myself, Reverend Auntie Peace, please help me with my meditation. We will be happy to do so. Then consider the coming events of the day ahead. Ask within, what can I do today that will assist me to live a more God-centered life? It's a very important thing. What can I do today that will assist me to live a more God-centered life? In fact, if you claim to be on the spiritual path, that should be the mantra which should be going through your head 24 hours a day. Not in the morning alone or in the evening alone, but 24 hours a day. What can I do to live a more God-centered life? Sit quietly and sink deep within. In time, ideas will surface and you will sense things to do and people to contact. When you are sure of your inner guidance, write it down and begin a plan of action. The main thing in this process is to be sure we follow through. Our guidance is of no value unless we act upon it. From time to time during the day, if you feel the need, pause and turn within for guidance. From time to time during the day, if you feel the need, pause and turn within for guidance. Let the mantra be going through your mind and through your system 24 hours a day. How can I live a more God-centered life? Again, write it down and follow through. At night, just before retiring, pause a few moments to meditate and become aware of your true nature. Then go to sleep in this consciousness. With practice, you'll become so attuned to the infinite intelligence which is working through you that you effortlessly be guided in all that you do. Your only thought should be to do the will of the Father and accomplish His will. Like I was saying, how can I live a more God-centered life? How can I do the will of the Father and accomplish His works? We are not here for ourselves, brothers and sisters. We are not here for ourselves. You see, no matter what you think, those are all false ideas. You must learn the truth or seek the truth of life. Then we will live a fully accomplished life. That is what we have come here to do. Isn't this, after all, what you want to be able to do someday? Then why not begin now to move in this consciousness the best way you know how? In a few months or years, you will look back to this moment and note the amazing progress you have made. He ends with this affirmation. Today, I affirm my real identity. My life is the expression of the one life. My intelligence is a portion of infinite intelligence. My mind is a portion of cosmic mind. All my thoughts, feelings, urges, and creative actions are the expression of spirit, flowing through and as me into greater fulfillment of myself. I repeat, today I affirm my real identity. My life is the expression of the one life. My intelligence is a portion of the infinite intelligence, a portion. It's not that you alone have all the intelligence in the universe. My intelligence is a portion of infinite intelligence. My mind is a portion of cosmic mind. All my thoughts, feelings, urges, and creative actions are the expressions of spirit, flowing through and as me into greater fulfillment of itself. Thank you very much for your attention. Amen.